Okay, so we're here with Ross. How are you, mate?
I'm very well, yourself?
Very good. Being Australians living in America, we love hearing other people's accents. It's nice to be in a place where people aren't saying to us, "What'd you say? Where you from?"
Where you from? What are you saying? I get it a lot of the time. I don't sound too Scottish, so...
You sound a lot Scottish to me.
Oh, well, I tell you what, you're in for a shock if I go and find you real.
Well, my stepdad's Scottish.
Oh, right, okay.
His backstory is he left Glasgow, I don't know, 50 years ago. Okay. Spent a bit of time in New Zealand, spent a bit of time in Australia. I still understand a word he says. He's in his early 70s, so I understand exactly what you're saying. Mate, tell me a bit of the history of the building here when it was built, because the farmhouse down here was built before this building, right? Yeah.
So this building dates to about the early to mid-1800s. As you say, it's a stone structure. Originally, we've got a grain storage, and it would obviously been used for sort of straw and that kind of, harvest storage, that kind of thing. Obviously, it's now Grade 1 listed, so it does restrict what you can and can't do with it. But as you can see on a building sort of this nature and stature, it's important that you retain the heritage of it.
Right. It's so beautiful. Interestingly, where your seating area is over here, the horses would go through there, and
you would have seen the horses would have walked around the centre post. Ironically, when we renovated the place pushing 20 years ago now, we had to replace the upright in the centre because it was so worn down with the action of the horses going round. We believe the act of the horses going round used to drive the thresh mill or the hammer mill that would have been in the top of the building.
Right.
That would have been used during harvest time to separate the grain. Would have walked around the centre post. Ironically, when we renovated the place pushing 20 years ago now, we had to replace the upright in the centre because it was so worn down with the action of the round. To separate the grain.
Okay, so turbine, wind turbine behind us here.
Yes.
It generates how much?
It's a 100 kilowatt hour wind turbine, and as I say, it's running probably about 80% of the time annually. I don't have the annual figures off the top of my head, but it covers a significant amount of our annual consumption, as you will, in terms of energy as well as cost, to the point it's probably more than paid for itself now in the 10 years we've had it.
Because that's a big thing in the UK right now.
Oh yeah, massively. I mean, people's electricity at the moment, it's like some folk have seen it double, triple, if not. We're not insular from that, but that's
paying for, let's say, over half of your bills.
Yeah, it's a fantastic bit of kit in the fact that it runs just by itself nigh on. I mean, if it has a problem, it tells the engineers that monitor it before it tells us. It runs 24 hours a day quite happily. And due to the unique sort of engineering of that's part of the reason we went for that specific turbine, is the engineering on it.
Right.
As you say, it's a Northwind 100 machine, and it's got quite a reduced sort of low maintenance requirement on it, and its uptime's fantastic.
You've only got the one?
We've only got the one. We didn't quite require any more than that. The option was at the time we either go for one bigger one or two smaller ones, but just one is sufficient for what we require. Once you start going into two, you're then sort of being classified as wind farm technology territory, and the paperwork involved becomes more significant. But it's a great bit of kit, and it served us very well. I mean, the typical lifespan on one of those machines is 25-30 years. Yeah. So I mean, it's done us 10. So
and it's come from Vermont.
Vermont, yeah, the whole way shipped across the Atlantic. Yeah, it was Vermont 10 years ago. I have to dig out, see if I can get some photographs of it when it was built, but it's got the foundations for it go down about 10 metres or so and whatnot, and it's got a great big steel cage that holds it.
Crazily enough, Vermont is the home of Ben and Jerry's. That's a big ice cream.
So it is actually, yeah. Buying right under their nose, yeah. But it was, as I say, it was the best machine we could find on the market at the time, so that's what we purchased, and as I say, it's worked away nigh on faultlessly for the last 10 years and served us very well, and will serve us hopefully for the next 15-20 years to come. So,
do you name them?
No, too many.
Now, how many do you have? You said about 150 milking.
Yeah, we range from about 100 to 150 milking.
Right. Is it a twice a day milk?
Yes, they get milked in the morning, so around sort of 4 or 5 a.m. and then about early to mid-afternoon.
And this looks like a semi-automatic. So you've got to actually attach them, but everything else is...
Yeah, so a semi-automatic parlour, so as you say, the cows come in, it gets attached and it does the rest, and then once they're finished providing milk, the unit drops off And they also at the same time we operate a feeding system at the same time, so they come in and they get fed at the same time as they're in. So
we spent a bit of time at Penn State. If a cow is mistreated, you don't get quality of milk, you don't get quantity of milk.
That's the big thing, and that's part of that's the big thing we're all about, is we're monitoring the health and welfare of our animals constantly. We monitor them on an individual level as well for health and whatnot. They're regularly seen by the vet as well, because as you say, without health and without welfare, they're not, and happiness, they're not productive, and it's a big thing for us is care and welfare.
People from the outside think, oh well, farmers and this and that, but these cows probably have better health care and better nutrition than you or I put together.
100%. I mean, their diets are closely monitored. We have computer software and systems that monitors their feeding constantly. It's reassessed, as you say, on an ongoing basis. To say they're probably better looked after than most humans in the healthcare system. Their beddings change regularly. During the summer months, they graze freely out in the grass fields. And I think there's a lot of misconception about animal welfare and how animals are looked after and treated in the farming things, in the media and whatnot, as you say. So it couldn't be any further from the truth.
Absolutely. You must have a couple of favourites.
Yeah. Everyone on the farm has their soft spots for different animals. If you had two dogs, there's always one. And as much as folk are, I'll argue that they don't. Everyone's got their favourite child as well.
No. It amazes me that you can make that much. You can have all of that 150. If milking 150, it's not a huge tank, really, is it?
No, it's not. But as you say, it gets emptied every morning.
Right.
So it's not the world's biggest tank.
You said earlier you're not even using all of your milk for your ice cream. You've got the leftover goes to grocery and
that gets sold on. But as you say, for what we use, for what we're producing and what we're using, it's not just a metal tank. It's an insulated tank. It's got a refrigeration system on it as well.
Right.
So when the milk comes out of the cows, it goes through a series of pipes in the parlour. It goes through a filter. It goes through a plate cooler to cool it right down, and then it enters the tank where it's rapidly cooled down down to about 3 degrees, where it's stored overnight before it'll be collected in the morning.
Sweet. And you make ice cream with it.
Yeah.
Let's go make some ice cream. A lot of people, when we're designing ice cream kitchens or ice cream facilities, they're like, how big do I need? And I often tell people, you just need space with a couple of stainless steel tables on wheels.
Yep.
For the amount of volume that you do, this is a pretty small space. I'm amazed at what you can pump out of this facility.
Yeah, I think it comes back to, say, we operate in quite an old building. In an ideal world, if we were in a new build, we'd probably have a bigger space, but unfortunately the building we're in, we have a bit of I'm not saying a make-do, but it is, as you say.
Right.
In an ideal world, we'd have a bigger space, but it's a balance, I think, a lot of the time is, you can have a huge big room, huge big factory, look at me, everything all dancing, but the operating costs of such a facility are huge, where you almost create a rod for your own back in the fact that we can have a huge, big, nice looking big production facility, but you're constantly having to sell.
Absolutely.
Constantly, you're
under the gun all the time.
Yeah, the costs of financing and running such a project, and the odds and the leverage involved are far bigger.
It's unusual in the States for people to have pasteurizers. We're highly regulated. So you were saying before, so milk comes in straight into the pasteurizers.
Yes. So
let's pop over here and have a look at these. So you got two pasteurized. Use them in the summertime. I imagine you'd use them pretty regularly.
Yeah, during the summertime.
Both of them.
Both machines can be running 3-4 times a day.
Right.
The milk comes, as I say, is brought through and placed in the pasteurisers, and we pasteurize on site. We'll put like a couple of glucose stuff, the double cream, that kind of. We'll make the base mix out of that.
Your milk's coming in. You said 4-5%.
Yeah. So the texture and quality of our ice cream comes from the milk we use.
Right.
Comes from the fact that we know exactly. The cows that are producing our milk, we know exactly the life they're leading, exactly what they're being fed, how they're being looked after. It goes back to that whole welfare thing, that quality thing, that kind of thing. We can tailor that from the offset. So it's like if we know, for example, our milk's off, we can tailor, the cow's health plans, the feeding plans, that kind of thing, to ensure to maintain that level. And as you say, part of the advantage we have is we have a slightly higher, as you say, maybe like butterfat content as well, which again adds to the flavour, adds to the sort of the whole palette of taste when it comes to our product that some of our counterparts might not be able to offer, who are, say, buying pre-pasteurised milk in, who are buying that kind of thing. Whereas I say, because we're doing it from we operate the slogan quite often cow to cone, we can offer the whole
and have control over every single.
And I think particularly in this sort of growing sort of era where people are more interested where the food comes from, welfare, quality, local, the environmental impact of their food miles, that kind of thing. It's quite good to be able to say, we know this product, we know the welfare, the ethics, how every animal in the process was treated. We can end to end sell you a product that we know is of quality, it adds to sort of what we can offer in terms of that kind of thing.
Strength of the brand.
Yeah.
So you're coming out of the pasteurizers into the verticals. You got this one that looks like a monster. It's about like a 60 litre or a.
Yeah, I believe it's a big 60 litre. As you say, I believe it's one of the biggest on the market at the moment in time you can buy.
Yeah. We would call them pints and quarts. You're calling them 500 mils.
It's imperial metric, isn't it? Yeah.
I love America.
Yeah,
We've got to get our stuff to get together with metric.
Yeah.
But come over here, and you're still in miles.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. Yeah. But out of these machines, you're doing all of that volume. You've got our pans behind you for your wholesale customers, a lot of your wholesale customers and you. You're doing pints, quarts, you're doing high volume kind of stuff, all out of the batch freezer.
Yep.
We had a little bit of a chat before about you kind of considered continuous, but you really love what the batch gives you.
So, I mean, continuous flow, as you say, it gives you that fast production. It allows you to mass produce. It allows you to throw product out effectively, and that's why a lot of, you say, the big name supermarket brands, that's what they have to do to keep up with what they're selling. The problem with that, obviously, is you increase the overrun, the air content to push it through the machine, because you can't push a frozen solid object down a pipe because it's quite hard. In doing so, you lose the texture
and a bit of
quality,
mouthfeel,
and a bit of the feel in the mouth. And that's why we've always stayed with the batch freezers. We weren't prepared to make that trade-off. And as you say, that's why we ended up, as you say, we do have big batch freezers, because it's, unfortunately, to make on that level of scale, but you end up with a very big batch freezer. But yeah, as you say, continuous flow is an option, but it's just not something we use, because, as you say, we're not prepared to compromise on the quality of our product, particularly given the clientele we sell to, the market we're going for. Quality is everything to us. It's maybe a bit more labour intensive, a bit more thing, but it's if you say you can't, sometimes you've got price or quality, you can't have both of them. Very few applications in life, can you? We've got, this is the main machine we run. During the summer months, this machine's pretty much running non-stop. We have a smaller backup machine for doing sort of smaller batches, for doing your sorbets, for doing your maybe kind of thing, that kind of thing. And then we also have an array of backup machines hidden out of the way as well. So if this goes offline, we can just unplug it, unplumb it, wheel it out, and wheel another one in. So we actually have the beauty of having a very little downtime in terms of repair and maintenance and that kind of thing. We also, we've also got the ability to repair and maintain these machines on site as well. That was a big thing we sort of realised, was being able to do repair and maintenance ourselves, particularly as you say,
I know you've almost got your own service department, built-in
pretty
service
much,
department.
Yeah. As you say, again, it's just it just keeps us running and online more than I say, and it adds to the fact that we can sell as much product out of this room as we do.
So if you need ice cream, talk to Ross. If you need refrigeration service, if you need HVAC, pretty well these guys cover just about everything.
We've got cows, animal feed, how to look after an old building. We'd like to say we've got a big plate, but it's all just falling off a small one. But, I was only this tall when the place first opened, but it's amazing how time flies.
And look at you now.
Do I know? Aging like milk.
So you've got this beautiful Savelle case. You got pastry. You got your ice cream here for the store, but you got 50 of these ish spread all around the country.
Yeah, see, we've got quite a few of them spread across the country that we sort of, as you say, they're aimed more at our trade customers as well as our events type things as well, because they're a bit smaller, they're a bit more mobile. But as you say, we've got say, you could argue, a fleet of them that we put out, we hire, service and run ourselves. We've always found the Savelle brand to be very well built, very reliable, and as you say, it's something we've used for the last 15, 20 years without issue. It's
a great business model. Rather than looking for more locations retail to hire, you're basically creating a mini concept in all of these others. Now, do they, if they're using your case, are they using your brand as well?
Yeah, so all our machines are branded. This particular machine obviously is not, but all our other ones, they're in company colours, they're black with our logo, that kind of thing on them. So you can't really get away with putting anything else in it otherwise, because it's got our name written all over it. It's a lot easier because also it's all about brand image as well and whatnot. As you say, if you just have a generic cabinet with ice cream in it, people go, well, it's ice cream. If you brand it, you put your name on it, you put a thing on it. All our tubs and everything like that are obviously all branded for that same reason. But as you say, we find particularly, as you say, if you're trying to push retail, it's a very hard, very, how do you put it, it's a very saturated market, the retail sector. The main thing you're competing on is price rather than quality, which is sort of what we do. And by having our own in-house fleet of cabinets, it makes it a lot easier to go out to people who want to sell, become a trade relation with ours, become a retailer of Stewart Tower Dairy. The startup cost, if you want to go into selling ice cream, can be quite prohibitive for most, particularly the cost of these machines. You know, they're not cheap bits of kit. By us being able to turn around to the customer and say, look, dip your toe in the water, here's a machine we can provide you with, we can sell you the ice cream to sell in it, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, you know, the risk for you as a business is far more minimalised. And they say it works very well for us because the number of trade customers we have, or resellers we have, who we probably would never have got that relationship with if we hadn't been able to.
Because of their cost, or
because I think a lot of people don't realise how much the business opportunity there is in reselling ice cream, and so a lot of them shy away because they see the cost involved, particularly buying a machine, particularly that kind of thing.
How many flavours all up? How many flavours on the roster?
On the roster, roughly about 200, 250.
That's crazy.
It changes, as you say, depending on demands, that kind of thing. The flavours we make now are not the same as we made 10 years ago. Well, obviously we still make vanilla, we still make that kind of thing, but the flavours change depending on customer demands, what customers look for, and as you say, it's a never changing list. And you say we pretty much can make ice cream from anything, so if we get a series of customers will ring up and say, can we have, looking for a specific flavour, we'll say, well, do you know what? There's enough demand for it, there's enough people looking for it, let's add it to the list. We have a number of flavours, as you say, that have come about, not through our own invention, but through a customer demand and customer ask.
Pesky Michelin star chefs calling up saying, I want a...
Yes, we do have a few of them on the client list too. As you say, some of them will ring us up and ask for some of the more unique flavours, shall we say. Sometimes you go, can we do that? And we'll go, well, we'll give it a bash and we'll see. And 9 times out of 10, they don't have that qualification. They don't have that qualification for nothing. It's a very interesting product to sell. It's a very unique product.
Absolutely. The place is awesome. Where do people find out more about Stewart Tower ice cream?
Ice cream. Website, Instagram, Facebook, that kind of thing.
Awesome.
Worst case scenario, send us an email.
Thank you, Ross. Hey, we're going to put a link down below to all of the processes here, but a little bit off the A9 here, but well worth the trip.
Basically, we're 8 miles north of Perth. If you're on the A9 headed up to Inverness, we're about half a mile off the A9.
You heard the man, 8 miles north of Perth. Sorry, mate.
That's all right.
Everybody does it to me. So
that's fair enough. To be fair though, I sound quite. I'm not too Scottish, so I'll have to find you someone who's got a proper broad Glaswegian accent or something.
Well, thanks, mate. Really appreciate your time. Again, all of that stuff's down below. As we always say, winding up. Keep on scooping, everybody. We'll see you in the next video.